What happened was that over the period November to May, a plan was developed in parallel with a possible scheme of arrangement. But what it meant was that we had to negotiate a series of outcomes with Bond, Spedley's, the Government Insurance Office, the National Bank and the state government, and also, and importantly, Connell. That happened, surprisingly, in a relatively short 6-month period of time. And what became clear very early on, and we pushed this with the government, is that we have to create a mechanism whereby the smaller investors, the unsophisticated investors, about 1,400 of them that were owed $50-odd million, they should be treated separately to the rest of the creditors that I've just spoken about. And the reason was that they had no idea what was going on. And so we developed this scheme whereby the unsophisticated investors would receive 100 cents in the dollar, and the other creditors would subordinate their claims to those creditors. The effect of that, or that was achieved through a scheme of company arrangement at the time, whereby through contract you can reorder the normal order of priorities in a liquidation. That was achieved. It was quite controversial because we had to, Ian struck a deal with Connell, and there was certainly rumblings that we hadn't investigated Connell's offshore assets. Well, we did as best that we could, and also his Australian assets, and we came to a conclusion about reaching a settlement with him. What did all of that do? It enabled us to get an early resolution for the people who were affected most and had the least amount of information. The recoveries ended up being for the mums and dads 100 cents in the dollar and some minor trade creditors. But then for the rest of the body of creditors, it was about 38 to 39 cents in the dollar. We originally thought it could be as high as 60. But the more we got into the loan book and the bigger the problems, and clearly a lot of the investments and the companies involved were surviving solely on the funding provided by Rothwells, and a lot of the investments weren't viable to begin with. The Rothwells collapse rang the bell on that whole era and those players. I mean, interest rates were starting to go through the roof. Following 1987, everybody started piling into property, and away from stocks and shares. But that was only a very temporary part in the cycle. And then there was, the calamity, and effectively 88 and Rothwells was, the beginning of that whole period.